Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Audrey Russo, President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Technology Council. And we have a great show today, and I will introduce our guests in one moment. Just want to set up the show. A couple of things. We have Jonathan Kirsting, who's here. He's the Vice President of all things media and marketing for the Tech Council, does a lot of storytelling, and he will be keeping his eyes on the chat. The chat is for you to ask our guests questions. This is not an opportunity for people to sell their wares. So we're just focusing on Jay and Will, and that's it today in terms of the work that they're doing. The other thing is we've muted your microphones just to make sure that we're not hearing any noise in the background. So thanks for your cooperation with that. And shout out to Huntington Bank for their support throughout this almost a year of making sure that we're bringing to you updates from so many people and leaders across our region and beyond to make sure that we're tethered together as an innovation and tech community. Also 40 by 80, that's a wholly owned subsidiary of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, where we're focused on workforce development and entrepreneurship. And by the way, that's the longitude and latitude of Pittsburgh. So we're gonna jump in now and bring our two guests, and they're gonna talk about their new venture. And we have Jay Katarincic and Will Allen. Willie J. Allen was what I was told before we went live. And I don't think I'm going to be able to say his name right again. So Willie J. Allen and Jay Katarincic, thank you so much for being here. And one of the things that I really like to do is before we start is just do a check-in. You know, it's been the pandemic, want to make sure that you're both okay. How are you doing? And who are you? So I'm going to start, I'll start with Will. And Will, welcome. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, as is Jay Katarincic. Really appreciate your time with us today. But tell us a little bit about Will, and then get into the why of why Magarac and, you know, the ventures and et cetera. So a little bit about Will.
Yeah, thank you for asking. You know, everything I do, I lead with service. You know, that's just who I am as a person. I want to utilize my access and resources to help people progress, to help this city progress, this region progress. So at the core of who I am, that's what I do. I always said when in my previous career in sports, football is what I do, is now who I am. But it was a great platform to share, to help, to support, and to drive a movement forward. And I see the same alignment with Magarac, being a venture capitalist, you know, helping entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs who are forgotten or don't have the right access to capital. So you know, so why Magarac? It's a great opportunity, and the time is right. You know, we're in a critical moment, I think, in history. We're in a critical moment for this region to propel forward over the next 10, 20, 30 years. And we've historically marginalized, you know, Black founders, women founders, of entrepreneur tech founders, and haven't really, you know, been looking at these untapped opportunities. And, you know, we're looking to do that. I won't give too much because we got a whole 30 minutes to dig into that. But that's just who I am, man. I want to make a difference with my platform. I want to make a positive impact with my platform and help people around me get better and improve the quality of life.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's hard to de-identify yourself, right? When you're in sports or when you're sort of attached to something, and you've been able to do that. One of the examples is that you have a foundation, right?
Yep.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the foundation, you know, I started when my playing days in Tampa, Florida. You know, I was around 24, 25 years old, and I wanted to make a difference. Again, I was sitting on the couch doing nothing, and I was inspired by my teammates around me. They all had nonprofits, and they were all doing stuff with single moms. They were doing stuff with, you know, shelters, homeless shelters. They just wanted to do something. And, you know, they didn't really talk to me about their legacy. It was more about them truly wanting to serve. And I just started asking them, well, how do you start a nonprofit? What do you do? So our core competency and what we do at Will Allen Foundation, again, is around technology. You know, we want to deliver best in class technology tools and resources to school districts that don't have them, to help students prepare for the 21st century jobs and careers. So it ties really well into what we're doing from investing capital, but preparing these young people for their 21st century careers and career development, skill development. And I'm very, very passionate about that because it's needed. And, I didn't have those resources. Nobody tell me that I could be a computer scientist or engineer or a robotics tech. And now we're living in this world, and, we got, a great tool in front of us, we can build anything with. So why not deliver those tools and resources to young people who don't have them?
So you could have lived anywhere, and instead you lived in Pittsburgh. You're from Dayton. That's where
Yep.
your roots are, and I know you have family there. So what made you plant a flag here in Pittsburgh?
And I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay,
But
wow, that's an answer. That's an honest one.
But I think that's a good place. I think there's so much opportunity. What I've learned over time, especially be embedded in the business community now, and it's shown me that people want to move forward. It showed me that people want to, actually make a difference. And if I can have a small piece of that, and influence that in some way, I think I can. But Pittsburgh is good to me, and I think I'm good for Pittsburgh. And I just want to continue the momentum and see where we are 10, 20 years from now, and say, look at the great works that we've done. Huge opportunities here. Huge opportunities.
That's great. Appreciate your teamwork. That's what's been, common thread in terms of Willie J, the man. So I really appreciate that. I want to scoot over and just talk quickly to Jay Katarincic. Jay Katarincic has been active in the tech community probably longer than I know. And when I did a little digging, Jay, I totally forgot that after you went to Holy Cross, you actually went to law school and then got an MBA at CMU. So you've taken a couple of a little twists, right?
Anything when I got out of college, anything to avoid getting a job, Audrey. I found every school.
I know. I was going to say, I didn't say that. You said it. So I'm really glad that it came from your mouth. But I think, did you practice law? What were you thinking back then?
Yeah, I was in actually a joint program at Pitt and Carnegie Mellon, where they have a set up formal program where you get both degrees in 4 years, which was fantastic.
Wow.
And then I did go practice law in New York City for a while, so which was a great experience.
Right. So then fast forward, talk a little bit about Jay. You were born and raised in Pittsburgh, right? You come from an immigrant family.
Yeah, born and raised in Pittsburgh, and except for time in college and time in New York, lived here my whole life. So, I'm a Pittsburgh guy, and as we were getting ready for this, we were talking about Millvale, and it's right. It's such a unique place, and so we're really excited about what the future holds. I mean, we have a what we refer to as a once in a generational opportunity in front of us, and that's why we're so excited to launch the firm and do our little part to support entrepreneurship in Western Pennsylvania.
Well, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Magarac, sort of the legend, the lore, a little bit. And there are some great analogies with that. Either one of you just want to talk about that for a second? Because I actually didn't know. I always knew the statue down in Braddock, but I didn't know the lore of the name Magarac.
Yeah, I'll jump in, and then Will can fill in what I missed. But Joe Magarac is a legendary folk hero in the steel industry, and he was really viewed as the person that lifted up Western Pennsylvania through the first industrial revolution and made Pittsburgh arguably one of the two most important cities in the world. There was, or at least in the United States, there was New York, and then there was Pittsburgh. And we believe that he epitomized the hard work, the creativity, the ingenuity of Western Pennsylvania at the time. And we have that opportunity to go back and become that. We don't want to be Silicon Valley in my mind. We don't want to be any of those places, but we have a chance to be a true leader because of the things that are happening in Western Pennsylvania today. And so we thought it was a good way to represent not the past, but where we're headed in the future and how we're all going to do this together. This isn't a one-person job. It's everybody who's on this call, and it's everybody in Pittsburgh's job to go and lift this community to a place where it should be, given the resources that we have at our disposal.
Yeah. Will, do you want to add anything to that? I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely paying homage to, you know, what this region was built on. You know, but it's also, you know, I think what's really cool about the Joe Magarac theme and, you know, what he represented was also, he represented people who didn't have a voice. He represented for people who were overlooked, and a lot of those people were immigrants, right? It's a folk tale, but you know, it was a much needed folk tale that people found inspiration in, they found opportunity in, and they found a reason to drive and push forward. And I think, you know, that is what's made Pittsburgh kind of that blue collar mentality. But now we're driving forward a new technology, revolution, and we have to start thinking about how we build on that Joe Magarac mentality in a very unique way, supporting again entrepreneurs who have been overlooked, people who are looking for hope in a new form and fashion as it relates to technology.
well, I love that you pull into the past to launch into the future, and it's a great analogy. So thank you for that. So now, you know, let's talk about this. You know, many of us who are on this call know, you know, capital investment matters, right? We need that to ensure businesses thrive. And we've not been, you know, sort of at the epicenter of having, you know, an immense amount of capital, you know, in this region. Now we've had, you know, 70% of the capital comes from outside the region. We've certainly had growth in investments in this region, but we haven't had an IPO. We have, you know, maybe we had one, but I don't know anything more than that. We haven't had, even if you look at Salt Lake City, we haven't, you know, compare us to them. And we just haven't had that. And I know that's the passion, Jay, that you've had over time. And I think that's what Will is saying. So, you know, it is an age-old story. So now what? We have great incubators, we have great accelerators, we have, you know, a lot of the smatterings of sort of the good bones. But you know, what are you going to do with Magarac that's going to be what you think is really demonstratively different? And where do you think the gaps are that we just need to face head on? So either of you want to take a stab at that?
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Audrey, you're diving right into the deep end of the swimming pool on us here. I like it. Thank you. You know, Audrey, listen, what we're trying to accomplish is pretty simple. You know, we've had a great history in Western Pennsylvania of venture funds. I mean, we've had Birchmere, we've had Adams, we've had others that have been, you know, great venture investors and great to work with. And we have a number of kind of new firms popping up with Mountain State and with 412, et cetera.
Right.
And a lot of it is around this one. I talked about it before, this once in a generational opportunity that's presented itself. We have Carnegie Mellon, we have Pitt, and for the first time we have the corporates really focused on innovation and how innovation can drive the economy going forward. We also then have a macro effect of, for the first time in a long time, there's cracks in Silicon Valley. And so Silicon Valley isn't the place that everybody used to think it was. And so the draw from a CMU student or a Pitt student to go to Silicon Valley isn't nearly what it was. And so, you know, over the last 2 or 3 years, in talking with Carnegie Mellon and talking with the University of Pittsburgh and talking with a number of others, including the wonderful support that we've gotten from the state in this, you know, we decided, hey, Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania needs a fund of size that can make a difference in a big way. And so we've set out to raise $100 to $150 million fund that will invest, you know, in a number of different ways. But not only are we bringing the capital, but then as part of this fund, we're going to bring a number of what we view as essential, other venture firms call them as wraparound services, around HR, around sales and marketing, and around some back office things that will allow companies to grow faster than they've been able to grow in the past, because they can put their resources toward not back office, but put their resources toward developing their technologies and sales and marketing. So it's really, we've got a perfect time to go launch a fund with everything that's happening at Pitt and Carnegie Mellon and the technology community as a whole. We've got a world that's looking much different than it looked 24 months ago. Right. And, you know, we think we've really got a unique opportunity to go and capitalize on this with a fund of critical mass. I mean, you know, we haven't had for a long time a fund of this size focused in this geography.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh and many smaller cities and I don't like to compare ourselves to other cities, but if you go to Silicon Valley, you can have sort of a weak idea and you can get funded. When you're in a place like Pittsburgh, it's almost like the bar is higher for you to run these kinds of experiments. So I'm excited to have this amount of money floating around with a lot more investment because our bar is higher. I mean, it seems when people are launching these companies, they're just not harebrained ideas. You can go to Silicon Valley and you've got an app and you can get investment within a short period of time, but not here. Now, part of that's our legacy too. We're conservative, right? We've been in materials and all the things there. What do you think is why do you think that there's the cracks now in Silicon Valley? Is it COVID? Is it, what do you attribute that? People are thinking differently about where they want to work, where they want to live.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. Obviously, COVID impacted that, had a huge impact on how people navigated remote work, and a lot of the companies in Silicon Valley who say, hey, work from home or work from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And these folks are saying, well, okay, well, I'll move to Miami, I'll move to Texas. And taxes pay a huge part of that, quality of life pay, from where you want to live, going to the beach or having sun all the time. And then it's just expensive to live out there. I'm not saying that Silicon Valley still won't have its way or still be the prominent location that it is. It's just that you can build anywhere, right? And when you think about what we have here in Pittsburgh and in the Midwest, we have a GDP of another country. In the whole entire Midwest, we have 60% of the population in the Midwest. And with Pittsburgh alone, we have great corporates and world-class universities and world-class talented people. But we got to bring that together. We got to make that stick. And funding and Magarac, our venture firm, does that. And if you look at this conversation, you look at me and Jay. I'm a black guy. He's a white guy. Let's call it what it is. And then we have a woman on the call as well. You think about this connectivity and the conversation we're having, and how venture and tech investing and building companies, how it's going to look different for the future of Pittsburgh. This is it. This type of conversation. I'm the youngest on this call. And I'm not.
You don't. I don't know if that's
so. I think so. But and that's where we have to start to transform our thinking and lower that barrier, as you mentioned. Yes, we need to make money. Yes, we got to make great investments. But there's so many opportunities out there, especially as it relates to African Americans, women, and people from diverse backgrounds. And we cannot continue to overlook that. We can't continue to ignore that, and we have to be intentional about it. So I think Pittsburgh is a right place to build a company, a right place to come together and get behind a fund like ours and people like us, because we're thinking differently about this ecosystem in this community.
Well, listen, everyone knows that women and people of color make up like an infinitesimal small, amount of venture funds, right? But yet, when you look at the data, particularly about women, their success is very, very high. Their success is high.
Yeah.
So what are you guys going to do differently? What's your commitment?
Jay?
Yeah, I mean, Audrey, and we've had a long history at Draper of supporting what we call underserved founders, and Will really hammered this point home to us when he sat down with us, and when we were trying to entice him to join the team. Which listen, Will's, I call him the Renaissance man. I don't think he really likes that, but I keep going with it anyway. But so we took a look at what had we done in the past, and we realized that we had put a significant amount of dollars into underrepresented groups. And so we're putting, we think we're doing two things. We're putting a stake deep in the ground, and then we also are going to do something that we don't think any other venture fund has done yet, but we think it will become very common going forward once the word gets out on what we're requiring our portfolio companies to do. So I'll let you go into the details, but Audrey, we couldn't be more excited about
right.
the the commitment that we're making, and it's really a commitment that's coming through our limited partners because they're wholeheartedly endorsing, what we believe in to the very core of ourselves. And so we're really excited about the commitments we're making, and Will can go into the details.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, we all know the historic data behind African American and women not being funded, and African Americans getting less than 1% of funding, and the performance of women entrepreneurs, being really, really successful. And we look at that data, and I challenged Jay. I challenged the team and said, "Hey, what have you guys done in the past? What have you guys really been intentional on?" And and the truth is they hadn't, but when they took a look back at the historical data, a lot of their C-suite and entrepreneurs they've invested in were women, were people from diverse backgrounds. We got to do better as it relates to African Americans, and we pointed that out, and we said, hey, we can't overlook anybody. No matter what your color, creed, religion, whatever it is, if you have a fantastic idea, we're not going to ignore you. So I can't give a dollar amount, just know it's going to be very significant to our fund of what we commit to African American women and people from diverse backgrounds, which has not been done here in Western Pennsylvania, across the Midwest, and we're proud of it. And we're going to be a leader in that area, and we're going to hold ourselves accountable, and we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure we don't miss opportunities. Our doors are going to be open. Our emails are going to be open because we got to hear every deal. Now we won't invest in every deal. Let's just be honest, because not every deal is the best. Not every deal is great. But we're going to build a better, stronger community where people can collide and create ideas together. It may not be us that invest them. It may be 412 Venture. It may be Mountain State. It may be whoever is available. Hey, they may be able to invest, or maybe an outside of investor. So it's about connecting and stitching together what we already have here, and then exponentially growing that. And it's not lip service. When we put money in real dollar signs to that, we know it's real. So that's where we're coming from. We really believe strongly. We really have a strong conviction on what Pittsburgh has to offer, from our community, from our culture, from our universities and colleges, to our people. And we have to take advantage of it.
So and I believe that. I just want to make one comment, and then we're going to go to some questions that are out there. This fund and the size of this fund is not really considered a seed fund. I mean, it might be in terms of technically in the operant definition, but this is actually putting some bigger dollars to work. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, no, you are, Audrey. I mean, we're going to invest between, probably on the low end, $300,000, and on the high end, $5 million in the companies initially. Right. So, I mean, you're going to see a number of seed deals done, primarily with Pitt and Carnegie Mellon founders, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to work with the Innovation Works companies as well, because they obviously have a fantastic cohort of companies that always come through there. And then it's all the way up to the $5 million check size, which is something we've not had in Pittsburgh. I mean, we've not had a fund that would write an initial $5 million check for a long time, and we think that's vitally important.
I wanted to point that out. So let's go to a couple of the questions. We have some people that have questions of you. So Jonathan, you want to grab them,
Jay,
please?
and Will, always good to see you guys. Rumor has it the new Joe Magarac is bending molten hot code with his bare hands as we speak. So just throwing it out there. So I've got a great question from Dave Radin here. Wants to know, does Magarac replace Draper Triangle? Are you doing both? Are your other partners taking over DT, and are you transitioning?
Yeah, no, sure. It's a great question. Hey, Dave, how are you? The Draper name is really morphing into Magarac as we go forward, and Mike and Zach and myself and Will be involved in the new fund, and we'll also be involved in seeing through our investments in our third fund at Draper, where we're out of the investment period, so we're not making any new investments. But we have a number of super promising companies that we're obviously continue to work hard on.
Very cool. And Emily Mercury wants to know: are you ready to start talking to area companies, and how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, Emily, great question. We're really close to being able to talk to companies. We got a little bit of legwork left to do with our initial investors, and once we get that behind us, we'll be ready to rock and roll. So, not to put you off, but stay tuned for a very short period of time. And we'll make sure that we'll get our contact info out to Audrey and to Jonathan, and they can distribute it out to everybody on the call, because we'd love to start talking now. So we've got a number of companies in the queue, and we'd love to hit the ground running.
So is there any other questions, Jonathan, I wanted to ask about?
You're all clear. Let's keep the conversation rolling.
What, we have a wide assortment and diversity of our community in terms of, the technology and the solutions. Any sweet spots, any areas that interest both of you in particular? And we've also had movement of social investing as well, with a return, of course, but any areas that you're highly attracted to or you're bullish on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kick it off, and Will, you can tell the truth here. Audrey, I think there's kind of three broad themes. One is obviously automation. We've done a ton of automation investing in the past. We are the world's leader in automation right now, and there's a place where the state support has been fantastic. Carnegie Mellon, Pitt are doing so many wonderful things. So obviously, automation will continue to be a big focus. Anything around AI, which again, another leading facet of what we do here. As part of AI, obviously machine learning. I think those will be a big part of the focus. We'll also be doing some, light med tech like we've always done in the past. I mean, we've been fortunate to be really successful in some of our med tech investments, and so we will continue to do that, particularly given the work that's going on at UPMC in that space.
Yeah, I would say, as we think about, that's kind of a broad stroke, which I think is really great, and we'll keep it there. You start to think about what's happening in the world. This kind of clubhouse phenomena is like taking over, and people are still trying to figure that out. But this creator economy and distributive information that is being disseminated, I think is something that we all should be mindful of, and how new businesses are being formed because of it. And we have to keep our pulse on that. How fintech and banking relates to this creator economy, I think will be huge for the future. Something we definitely got to keep mindful. And obviously, we're in a great sports city, so we cannot overlook sports tech. That is something that, because of my background and what I've seen in investment history, we got to keep an eye on it. And that could go to the light health tech that Jay spoke of, or even the AI space. But that is a focus. You think about three sports teams that historically, have a championship mindset and been great for our community. Why not, build that infrastructure out a little more? So those are areas I'm keeping a pulse on. Banking and meeting people where they are from a fintech standpoint. Sports tech, and this creator economy it's just going to be huge. And you can tie that into AI, you can tie that into health tech, automation, however you want to look at it. But those are just some of the thematics that we see and that we've been seeing happen over the last, couple years.
Yeah, so Audrey, maybe just to jump in, and I don't mean to belabor this, but Will makes a great point here. And one of the things that I think we're going to do in this fund that we've not done in the past is more consumer tech. I'm not sure it'll be a preponderance of our investments, but Will has had incredible success. Right. Will doesn't like to talk about himself, but his investment success as an angel has been incredible. And some of those have been in some of the world's leading consumer companies that have popped up. And so Will has a special touch. So Will be really leading that practice for us as we go forward. Doing a number of other things, but it's great to have some consumer expertise on the.
And I like that. I actually like that. I felt that that's a gap here. I feel like people who have consumer products and services have tended to leave Pittsburgh and have gone to other places where they can get the leadership and the support that they need. So I'm really excited by that, because I think we're going to see a lot post-COVID in terms of that space. So I'm glad to hear that, because I think that attracts people in sales, marketing, and just in a space where we've been enterprise focused. as a region and B2B, even though that's great and that's our strength. But, you know, post-COVID, I think we're going to see a proliferation in that space. So that's great. That's great to hear. Listen, you two, I'm very excited. I'm bullish on all this. Someone's asked a question just saying, like, how big do you think how many rounds do you think you're going to be able to, how much money do you think you're going to be able to invest in the number of companies? I think that's a question that you probably can't answer yet. Unless, Jay, you think you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to, the preponderance of our deals will be in kind of the seed and A round investments, but a lot of our dollars will be in the A and the growth round investments. So I think you'll see, you'll see an awful lot of, you'll see way more deals in this fund than we've done in the past. So probably, I would guess 30 to 35 rather than our 15 to 20.
Well, no matter what, I think you're going to bring a lot to the table. I just want to say to everyone that, by the way, Jay Katarincic has been on the board of the Pittsburgh Tech Council for 20 years. Does that sound right?
Yes, 18, maybe 19.
18 years.
Somewhere
And Will has joined the Tech Council as well. He's been on for almost 2 years. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud to know both of you and to work with both of you. They are not shrinking violets. They don't just say yes to everything. So it's great to have people who want to push the needle and keep the Tech Council focused. And, these are people that I like to surround myself with. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
We like to surround ourselves with you, Audrey, as well. We like to do business and have a cocktail or there, every once in a while. Whenever we get to do that again, we're ready for your parties to come back.
I know, I'm ready for them too. It's been way too long.
Yeah.
Audrey, I did want to say thank you to everything that you've done with not only these business as usual events, but everything that the Tech Council has done to help people manage through COVID. I mean, it's been such a wonderful way for people to stay in touch and connect. I know it can't be easy for what you guys do this every day, but it's on behalf of the entire tech community, thank you. And maybe just as a parting word, I mean, Audrey, we can do this, but we all got to do it together.
Yes.
I mean, this isn't about Magarac. This isn't about anything. It's about the tech community in Pittsburgh all coming together, and let's lift this thing and become what we have the potential to become. I mean, we're all in this together, and I can't, Will and I can't wait to do our little part, but we're really looking forward to working with everybody else to accomplish great things.
Well, I got nothing more to follow up on that. So I take that, I receive it, and I'm going to heed your marching orders because it takes all of us. So I can't thank you both enough for taking the time with us today. Stay tuned, more info coming. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks, Jonathan, for always being here and being a great partner. Brian Kennedy on the team. We all do it together. We got a great team of people who they kick butt. Oops, do they kick Magarac? Wait, I was almost used it correctly. Magarac means, what does it mean, Jonathan?
Donkey, or ass, but I prefer donkey.
I get called that every day, so it's perfect for us. So.
It means strength. It means strength, and you can carry a lot. So on that note, I want to thank everyone for being here today. And tomorrow, we actually have the winners of the Civic Hackathon that we did 2 weeks ago. And Jay and Will, you might want to pay attention to this because they've gotten some legs. They've gotten some legs, so that stuff is just way, way cool. So everyone stay safe. I don't think it's gonna snow today, and it's gonna be cold, but that's okay, it's Pittsburgh, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I thank Jay and Will for the work that they're doing. So thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
Thanks, Audrey. See everybody.